All right. It's good to see you guys. I can feel the juice already from you guys. It's a really cool night. And the first thing I want to acknowledge is as the fans and feeling their energy tonight for 5 quarters. Man, we felt every bit of it. And they really deserve a cool win like that. And so for us to have that connection with them, they're as big a part of it as you can imagine when you're feeling it on the sideline, the energy, and all the way through. So from a game standpoint, I thought it was certainly a tale of two halves. When we stay on schedule, we're, offensively, that's when we're at our best. And so to overcome some of the penalties, those make it the most difficult. But, what we did do, I thought in the second half defensively, much improved in the run game. I think they were at, 100 yards or more going in. I give Ron and his team a lot of credit. This is a tough crew. I knew their backs were against the wall as well. And we knew this was going to be an all, fight that go all the way to the end. We talked about a 5-quarter mindset, and damn sure enough, we had it. So all that said, let's get rocking with you guys and get started.
You mentioned the juice on the field and the fans and all that, but when you guys got back to the locker room, what was that celebration like? What was it like in there?
It was cool. The guys were gassed for sure. They emptied the tank tonight, but there was a lot of joy, honestly, and just knowing I really thought this was a real demonstration of their connection. It got hard, it got behind, and over the last couple of weeks, there's been some moments like that, and they coined the term "our time," meaning that's a lock back in, that's a focus for that moment. And one of the things I admire so much about them is they're never out of the fight. I love coaching these guys, what they stand for. And so we got plenty to get better at, and we'll work like hell to do that. There's plenty of things for us to improve upon this week, and that's where we'll dig back into, heading into this week, heading out to Dallas.
We've asked you this a million times for the last 6 months or so, but a lot of late game tight wins. What can you say about Jaden?
What I told Raheem after the game, I said, man, there's some things that 5 does that you can't put on a card. And that's what practice is for, where there's certain moments, a route, a play. And I thought the 4th downs were significant. In this game, we knew we were going to be bold. But at the end, I thought, in the second half especially, there was just some strong plays, and he just willed it. That's the competitor he is, and I thought he was fully able to demonstrate that and express himself tonight with his legs, with his arm. And it was hard. It was really hard. And those are things you do gain from. I'd love to say we gain a lot from the ones where there's a big score and you win ahead, but it's nights like tonight that you do gain a lot. And it's tough and it's grimy at times, and you have to overcome things, but those are the times that we get to learn. And we're fortunate tonight that we get to learn after a win. And we'll take all these lessons and apply them.
And about his legs, it seemed like he just became a very determined runner in the second half and made some decisions to be aggressive in that way.
Yep.
Was that okay? And how difficult does that make him to defend when somebody's going to see that on tape this week and go, oh, my gosh?
Yeah, he is a dangerous player. And it's not by design that, some of these runs that took place, but when the time comes to go, I thought there were some smart out of bounds runs, but there are some times when he's going to go. And it's not always, I cringe sometimes, but I also know that I know what the competitor is too.
And you spend so much time saying what the next week is, what the next play is. There is an overarching thing here where you're 11 wins. They haven't done that since 1991 here. You're in the playoffs. That's a big change from 4-13. What sort of satisfaction do you take from that?
Well, one, I'm extreme gratitude for the players that are here, to be able to coach these guys and be on this journey with them. There's tons of things that we're going to improve upon and get better at, and that begins tomorrow. But tonight, they'll enjoy this win. It was hard fought, and knowing that I know what they stand for and how close they are, there's some really cool teammates here, and those are the things that can separate it. A team, if you're excellent in the locker room first, you got a real shot to, do some things on the field.
You mentioned how much this means to the fan base here, but
Yep.
What do you think this means, or what have you seen after the game? The guys that have been here, Terry, Jeremy, J.A., guys like that, what do you
Yep.
think?
Yeah, I thought of Tress and just all those guys. Give them a big hug. I know, pro ball's hard, man, and it hasn't been easy, but a pro's pro just stands tall in the face of adversity, and they had to step into that gap at times. And so they're enjoying the teammates and what we stand for, but by no means are they satisfied. But there is a collective, mindset that they're enjoying this experience. I was really pumped for Josh too. He has worked incredibly hard since taking over this team to support these guys, give us, every chance to win. And so tonight we recognize that with him, knowing how important that is.
Dan, OZ was really active. Came up really clutch. A lot of moments there. What did you see from him tonight?
Yeah, he is. He sometimes raises the level of competition just by the way that he goes after it. And I think somebody might have said it, 8 catches or somewhere in that spot, and he'll beat himself up for the one that didn't happen, at the end. But for a long time, people wanted who's 1, who's 2, and last week Crowder, in OZ and made catches and ops. And so when you do lean a coverage to one player or to one thing, there's got to be other players that step up into that space. I think OZ is a classic example of that. Jeremy McNichol is another one, on a 4th down conversion to go. We had some guys down tonight, due to injury from last game. And so to see other players step into that space, knowing that they can be called upon, that's a really big deal.
All the craziness been going on, but Jeremy Reeves proposed to his girlfriend, so I don't know if you
Oh,
really
right
thought
on.
about
No,
that.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah, he should have done that long ago. He could only screw that up, so I'm glad that he did that. That's a great call by him.
Coach, this feels like a pivot year for this organization. What's that been like for you inside the locker room and in this community, your first year here? Getting to double-digit wins to 11 wins now, it's just been – it feels like a different vibe coming off the Commander organization.
Yeah, I can respect that, but I can only really comment on from my time here. And so knowing that, like from a fan base to people who support you and going through it, it's a cool experience. But we got a lot more under the hood and a lot more to fight for. And so no time for us to be nostalgic and that. Like, we got work to get done, and we certainly plan on doing that.
The defense is
You're just
clamped
taking
down.
advantage of the extra reps. I got it.
Yeah,
I love that.
got to.
Yeah.
2 straight weeks the defense clamped down in the second half. Obviously, I'm sure you want that from the beginning of the game, but what does that say about kind of the coaching staff communication from the top on down that you're able to make that turnaround?
Yeah, we made a big push about starting fast, and we did defensively first. And but to see, I thought, the tackling improved, I thought, quite a bit in the second half. It's a good back. And, all the way through, we knew going in this was a challenge. And so started off strongly, but I thought there's too many leaky yards for us in the first half. But I think Joe and the guys did an excellent job on 3rd down. I don't know what the final numbers would be, but I was very impressed by the plan on 3rd down, the pass rush of all that going in. We just needed some more of those.
Coach, if Zach doesn't make that catch on 3rd down, do you kick the field goal on 4th?
I'll never say. Yeah, we can't give that information up, but I think if you read the tea leaves, you'd probably think we're pretty bold.
Hey, Chris Rodriguez had a couple more explosive plays tonight. Are we going to see more of him come postseason time?
Well, let's worry about this week first. And but Chris and others have really stepped into that space. And I thought, the time of possession for the second half, feeling the offensive line, that was a really important thing for us. For those who've been around a lot, we've talked about the importance of running the ball and, making some big plays. And so not getting in the one at the end, we were bummed about. But, Chris has a significant role here with us. And, he's aggressive. He plays square and downhill. And so sometimes between Brian and him and Jeremy, when you bring another guy in fresh and ready to go fight, it's a big deal.
Dan, forgive me if you've been asked this or a variation on
You
this.
get a lot of grace. You're good.
You have talked all year about getting used to being in a fight, and
Yep.
you have to get used to it. And I wonder how all the fights you've been in this season served your team tonight.
Yes. We do a lot of situational work, David, in practice, so they feel more normal. And early on, perhaps, some of the guys didn't understand what I meant by that. This is going to feel normal eventually, where we're in these close games in 2 minutes and 4 minutes and those spaces to go. But I would say the byproduct of living in those spaces, they've become a little hardened, and knowing that they're not out of the fight. I felt that shift take place at Philadelphia, we were way behind last week, and it just maybe a start of it at New Orleans, maybe a start of that where we weren't riding the roller coaster. As the season goes on, they get a little bigger and taller, but I didn't feel like we rode that last week. Got way behind, and again yesterday at the half. Excuse me, tonight at the half. We're into those fights and knowing that like just stay in it, and we are gaining stuff from that. You're right about that. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.